welcome to Old Man Energy. I'm your host, Flint Anderson. If this is your first time with us, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here. And if you've come back for more of the craziness that is Old Man Energy in my life and my stories, then man, good on you. We appreciate you even more. I want to talk about mentorship again today. Obviously, that's a pretty close topic for my heart and what I believe. And just, I don't know, a lot of my mission involves mentoring and coaching and guiding and leading people. So I talked about how to choose a mentor in a past episode, and I think we had some real good feedback on that. Ruffled a little feathers, but that's all right. Now, I want to talk about once you've chosen a mentor, you've gotten up the guts to reach out, ask somebody to help you, to guide you. And this is true whether it's a coach or whether it's a mentor. And just remember the number one thing in choosing a mentor and choosing a coach is only take advice from people qualified to give it. You definitely do not want to get advice from somebody who doesn't know what the heck they're talking about. And everybody has an opinion, but very few people's mentorship is backed up by facts. So if you choose to listen to somebody, make sure that they have production, make sure that they've actually done what they're guiding you in doing. And this is true in relationships. It's true in business. It doesn't matter. Just whenever you are looking for somebody, whether it's advice or mentorship, make sure that you're asking somebody qualified to give it. Best example would be you wouldn't go to an overweight, out of shape person for physical fitness training. It just doesn't make sense. Same thing. You wouldn't go to somebody who's broke, living paycheck to paycheck for advice on how to get rich. They may know suggestions, but they don't know how. And if they do know how, they're not acting on it, which is a whole different problem. So the other night, a friend of ours, Josh, asked us, Des and I both, a pretty poignant question. We were eating dinner, just chatting, having a conversation. And this is a very inquisitive young man. His brain works a lot faster and a lot different than most people his age. And we always have good discussions with him. But this one really struck home. And he said, I want to ask you both something. He said, if you could give one piece of advice, whether it be money, relationships, or general life speaking, what would it be? But you can only give one. We thought about it, and it was really poignant and kind of hard to answer. Des answered first. Hers was to make sure that you have good communication, whether it's with your mentor, whether it's with your spouse, business partner, boss, whatever. Make sure you have good communication. Make sure you talk about things, make sure, especially the uncomfortable topics, make sure everything is covered. That was hers. Jordan Peterson talks about that. He says, have the damn fight. That's the quote that really hits home. He says, have the uncomfortable conversations. It's a hell of a lot easier to have an uncomfortable conversation now than to live in hell for 40 years because you didn't have it early on. Really hit home. Communication is vastly, vastly important. My answer was in line with what I just led with, as far as I said, only seek out people qualified to give it. And then when they do give you advice, make sure you act on it. All too often, we will seek out advice and then we'll be told something that maybe doesn't fit our predetermined narrative or that we don't understand or that we don't think is accurate. Over all a myriad of reasons, then we won't take it. Well, that does a couple of things. One, it really tells the person giving said advice that you either don't believe them or you don't trust them. And it makes it so that they don't want to help you anymore because why should they take their time? Which, I mean, when you ask somebody to mentor or coach you, they are putting an investment of their time into you. Even if you're paying for it, part of what you're paying for is their time and their knowledge. If they're not paying for it, it's even more poignant that you listen and implement. If you don't implement, you can't affect any change in your life. And you don't want to waste anybody else's time. And that's really what it is whenever you get suggestions, seek out and ask for suggestions and advice from people and then don't act on it. If you act on it, it doesn't work quite how you expected or what they expected, then you've got something to talk about. Go back to them, figure out what's going on. So those are the two main pieces of advice that we gave Josh the other night. And it's since expanded to a bunch of different things since then, some communication on our part talking about that, and then also some communication with our producer and just other folks. And it's like, what are the top questions that you should ask your mentor or your coach to be able to move it forward as quickly as possible and to be as effective as possible? So I sat down, started brainstorming. thinking about not only what questions I've asked of my mentors in the past, but also which ones I appreciate the most and are the hardest for me to answer. The number one question on this list is, what were your biggest failures and what did you learn from them? And this would be you asking your mentor or asking your coach. This allows them to build credibility, but it also allows you an insight into how they solve problems. Because if they had a failure in the past that they overcame, they didn't have the skills to overcome that when they made the failure. They had to learn them. So you're going to get a real good insight into how they solve problems, how they address issues, how they make things happen in general, especially when things are stressful. It's real easy to win when everybody's being successful. It's when it's when life is kicking you down or beating you down. That's really when you got to dig in, and that's when your true character is shown. So this question helps uncover that character, how they're going to turn setbacks into weaknesses, and just basically how they handle problems as they come up. Second question, how do you balance personal and professional life? I get this one all the time. I don't know if I'm the exact right person to ask this because I work all the time. I rarely stop working. I don't really believe in a lot of balance as far as giving 50% to home and 60% here and 30% here. And whenever I'm working, I'm working. Whenever I'm spending time with the kids or the grandkids, I'm spending time with the kids or the grandkids. Now, as I've gotten older, that's evolved into always a teaching moment. I'm almost always on. Very rarely is there a time when I'm not on. So balancing personal and professional life, the best advice that I personally give, and you want to listen to your mentor on this because everybody has different takes on it, obviously, is to be fully present in the moment. Whenever I'm teaching the 4 pillars, which is my goal setting system, I encourage you to focus on what you want in each of those pillars. And when you're home and you're spending time with your family, you're 100% present. When you're working, you're 100% present. When you're spending time on yourself, you're 100% present. Focus on what your task is at that time. And as long as you're focusing on each area of your life, you'll find that balance that you're looking for. Question number 3, what habits do you think were most instrumental in your success? Honestly, I hear this question a lot, and I think it's a bullshit question. And not because it doesn't hold any value, but it means that you're looking for instructions from somebody else. Well, which habits for me were most tantamount to my success? Does that translate to you? I don't know. The habits that are most contributive to your success are the ones that get you where you need to go. Some people say you got to get up early, you got to have a morning routine, you got to do this, you got to be consistent, you got to make this happen, you got to do these 3 things in this order or nothing's going to go right. Priscilla talks about the 5 points on his power list. I know Coolian's big on a morning routine. A lot of the guys are big on morning routines. I'm going to tell you the habit of working effectively as much as possible is what you need, in my opinion. Your habits that you develop are on your own. Whatever you have to do to mentally be present when it's time to work and be as effective as possible when you're working, that's the habits that are the most important. Those are the ones that are going to be the most instrumental in your success. This one's fun. Question number 4. What do you wish you knew when you were my age? Oh, God. One, I don't think you could pay me to go back in time and be in my late teens and early 20s again. Especially not in today's day and age. You young folks out there live in a completely different world, and man, you got to be tough as hell to make it through it. So I'm proud of each and every one of you that are living and looking upwards and looking to change your life, because man, your life is challenging. Now, when we were younger, was our life challenging? Yeah, but it was different. The reason we look back on it with fondness is because we made it through it. What do I wish I had known when I was younger or in my early 20s? Listen to people around you, act as quickly as possible, and you don't need permission. I wish I'd known that. I wish somebody had come out of the woodwork and told me when I was younger to quit waiting and that I didn't need permission to do anything that I wanted to do. Now, I started very young. I just basically kind of bucked the system the whole time, but I wish somebody had told me that when I was younger, because I think I'd be even further ahead. Because even after earning my freedom and my family's freedom in 2004, it was still like I was waiting for something and holding back. And I still struggle with that to this day. And it's weird because, I mean, I know better. I live better every day. So that's what I wish I had known. You don't need permission. No one's coming to help, and work as much as fast as possible. Don't wait on ideas. That's important. Question number 5. How do you keep learning and growing at this stage in your life? This is a weird question for me. And you should ask your mentor this because you're going to get an idea of where they're at. Are they just stagnant in teaching, or how are they continuing to learn? I'll tell you how I continue to learn. One, I've shifted the type of books that I read just to something that speaks to me and something that I'm getting information from. So books have always been a source of information for me, and I teach that books are freedom. They are the one thing that you can do that costs nothing or very little, depending on how you do it, that will set you aside from the rest of the world. Books are your superpower. Reading books should not be an intimidating thing. The anecdote I share with this is if anybody tells me that I'm coaching or that I'm mentoring, that they're intimidated by reading books. And honestly, the number of young people today that haven't actually read a book is appalling. So if you're one of those people, go get a book. I don't give a crap if it's 50 pages long. Go get it and read it and finish it so you can say you finished at least one book in your life. Because if you don't read, you cannot absorb knowledge in the same manner as you do from YouTube or from Netflix or from anywhere else. And all of those are valid sources of information, but reading teaches you in a different manner. So one of the anecdotes I started to talk about, if somebody's intimidated by reading a book, I ask them how many pages they're not intimidated by reading. And then I'll rip that many pages out of the book that they need to read, and I'll hand it to them and tell them to bring them back when they're done. 2 or 3 times on this particular lesson, all of a sudden they're not really intimidated by the book anymore because they realize that it's really read just one page at a time. It doesn't matter if it's 50 pages long or 1,000. I learn by reading. I learn by putting myself in rooms and areas with other people who know more and are more successful than me. Now, that could mean physically doing that. That could mean sitting in on coaching sessions or conference calls on the backside. That could mean a mastermind group. It could mean a coaching group. It just could mean a bunch of different things. There's a ton of free resources available out there on YouTube and other platforms. If college education is one of your things that you really are passionate about, but you can't afford to go to college, many of the best colleges have their courses online for free. You may not get the degree, but you can get the education. And at the end of the day, which one's more important? So those are just some of the tactics that I use to continue to gain knowledge. I love the feature on YouTube because I'm fairly impatient, especially if I'm listening to a podcast or I'm listening to somebody talk or teach, that I can speed it up. So I don't have to listen at regular speed. I can speed it up to 1.5 to 2.5 times and gather information that much faster. So that's one little trick that I use to go through 2.5 to 3 times the amount of content on YouTube that anybody else running at normal speed would. So question number 6, what is your approach to handling change and uncertainty? This is a hard question. An entrepreneur's life is change and uncertainty. There's no difference. When you start an entrepreneurial journey, especially whenever you take that step and you step away from that dedicated job, that paycheck, your life is change and uncertainty. You learn to deal with it. You learn to handle it. My approach to change and uncertainty is to work harder. Everybody tends to get scared when things slow down. Whenever things are not going great, they get nervous, they get upset, they're trying to fix stuff. I'm okay in that zone because I'm able to fix things. I'm able to see the problems in front of me. I double down when things feel like they're going well. Billing is up, jobs are running smoothly. All that means is there's something going wrong that I don't know about. And I've got to deal with that. And it's preparing for the unknown. So when I dig in and whenever I start working, I don't really worry, but whenever I start focusing, hyper-focused on making sure every detail is addressed is when things feel like they're going well. Because that just means that there's something going on that I don't know about. So change and uncertainty is part of life. It's part of an entrepreneurial journey. You just have to deal with it. Question number 7. Can you tell me about a time when you had to advocate for yourself? How did you do it? This question's kind of confusing. I've heard it once, which is why I included it. But does advocate for yourself mean defend yourself, or does it mean sell yourself? And I mean, they're kind of the same thing. Advocating, in my opinion, is teaching other people why they should trust you, or showing other people why they should trust you, which is the basis of sales. Why should you choose me and not somebody else? I don't sell to price. I've always sold to value, and in doing so, that can be a challenge because if it's a completely price-based decision, choosing not to participate in those types of deals is hard because, it looks like you're leaving money on the table. But if there's no room for self-advocacy, if there's no room for showing why your price is better than choosing the lowest price on the board, then there's no reason to continue. So if you're in any type of sales, and if you're an entrepreneur, you're in every type of sales, self-advocacy is a thing. And it's just, the people buy from people is the statement that most people that you would be familiar with, or people trust people, they don't trust corporations. You're advocating for yourself all the time. But I'll take it one more step. Living with integrity is the ultimate self-advocacy. If people know they can trust you, and no matter where they look, they see that you live with integrity. And this doesn't mean that you're perfect. This means that you own your mistakes, that you take care of your mistakes, and that you move on from your mistakes. You don't lie to people, you're honest with people. And when you've had a mistake, when you've had an error, when you've had a major fuck up, then you've owned it and you've gone on about your business. Those type of referrals, those type of references can't be bought. They're more powerful than anything else. So that, in my opinion, is true self-advocacy. Now, if it comes to where I'm in a position where I'm supposed to be defending myself against somebody else, or defending my price against somebody else, or this or that, and it's a competition, I don't even mess with that. You're not going to win. Even if you win the bid or the particular sale, you still didn't win, because in order to do so, you had to tear somebody else down, and that's not okay. Plus, if you're put in a position where you have to defend yourself, it means that they're approaching you from a position of you've done something wrong already, even when you haven't done anything. If you always own your mistakes, have those difficult conversations with your clients, with your people, you won't ever be put in that position. If you are put in that position, someone's trying to do it to you and you walk away. Nothing good will come from that. Question number 8. What's the most important leadership lesson you have learned? Humility. Your mentor should, somewhere along the line, tell you about humility and that they had to humble themselves, or life humbled them. I learn this lesson every day. Every time I open my eyes, I find different ways that I am either acting in arrogance, I'm acting just in a way that I shouldn't be, because I'm not being very humble. I'm proud, I'm whatever it is. The day I got out of my own way, humbled myself, and realized that I could not do it all, that I wasn't Superman, and started putting people in roles in my organization that were better at their places than I am. And Des being the number one here, she's so much better at operations than I am, is the day we truly started growing. And we've always grown kind of slowly, but nothing like we've done over the past few years. And I had to get out of my own damn way. So the most important leadership lesson I have learned is humility. How do you measure success? And this is question number 9. How do you measure success, and has the definition changed over time? Your mentor's opinion on what success is very important, but it doesn't have to define yours. Everybody measures success differently. Some people measure success with money. Some people measure success with time. Some people measure success with the amount of people that they know. You don't know what somebody's definition of success is, and it doesn't necessarily have to align with yours for them to be able to mentor you or coach you. My definition of success has always been freedom. Always, since I've been an adult. And while I've done things that look like I didn't have a lot of freedom, it was always working towards that end game. That end result was freedom. So to me, being able to make my own choices, choose how much money I'm going to make, choose where I'm going to live, choose what I'm going to do, that level of freedom is what's been most important to me over the years. Your mentor will have a different definition of success, and probably even different than yours. Share your definition with them, but understand they don't have to share your vision as long as they understand it. Same with your mentor. You don't have to share their vision. You don't have to understand their definition of success, as long as your journey aligns together, that they are qualified to teach you to go down the path that you want to go down. There are many, many reasons that we all walk these paths. Question number 10. What advice do you have for maintaining long-term relationships, both personal and professional? Communication. Talk. Stay in touch. Be honest. Have the difficult conversations. Tell people you appreciate them and tell them why. Tell them thank you when they help you. Be there for them. Provide value to them. Make sure that they're not the only ones providing value in the relationship and in the friendship. It should go both ways. Talk to people. Talk to people you care about. I can't emphasize that enough. That one thing will maintain relationships moving forward. You don't have to be perfect, guys, and you're not going to be. And you know what? Some relationships are going to dissolve because they don't want to see you win, and that's okay. But some people, they may be saying some pretty harsh stuff to you because they love you and they care about you. So remember, and the same as choosing a mentor, also choose the source that advice, especially challenging advice, is coming from. And if it is somebody who is either emotionally or financially invested in the outcome of your advice or of their advice, I want to listen to them, even if you don't agree with them. But either way, that doesn't mean they're mad at you. It doesn't mean they don't want to. It doesn't mean they're one of the people that are going to get left behind. Maybe it's one of those people that you need on that journey because you guys are going to bounce off of each other and keep each other in check and accountable. So, listen, guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. If you have found some value here, please share this with your friends, your family, whoever you think needs to hear it. Make sure you click that like and subscribe so you see whenever our new stuff is coming out. Love you guys. Peace.